And I hope everyone's had a nice day today. I think the idea with this space for mindful prayer is a little bit like the secular mindfulness, in sort of giving a space to notice things about the time that we're in at the moment. But unlike the secular mindfulness, we're not going to just look inwards towards ourselves and notice things about ourselves, but we are going to lift those things up to God and just have a chance to bring the events of the last few days, reflect on them, and then bring those reflections to God in this time of reflective prayer. I have based it very loosely on a Christian tradition called the Examen that was made by St. Ignatius of Loyola. So it will take us through a certain structure, and we will stay with that structure throughout all these sessions of mindful prayer. Hopefully it will be a helpful framework to just go over and notice events, good things, challenging things in the last few days. But as we are gathering, welcome everyone who's joining in. It's lovely that you managed to find me and joining in this evening. Let's just still our hearts and mind as we're gathering together and come before God this evening. So I hope that you are sitting comfortably. You might want to close your eyes or hold out your hands and just be kind of in a place of openness and stillness for a bit. We're just going to open with a little bit of silence, and in that silence ask God to be present today in our reflections together. So in this stillness, just go over the last few days in your mind and notice particularly anything good that grabs you. Reflect on the events of the last few days, conversations you've had, things that has happened, and just notice anything that particularly strikes you as being good in those days. Notice what it is about those good things that has struck you. And take a moment to just give thanks to God for those moments of joy and thankfulness that you have experienced. And in the same way, go over the last few days. But this time, notice where there has been challenges, where there has been things that has felt difficult, or perhaps even moments that you regret. And as you reflect on those things that feels difficult and challenging, just notice how they make you feel. And as you acknowledge those feelings, just in this space, just bring those to God. Perhaps as you've thought about those more challenging moments, more difficult moments, there is something that has struck you about how you have behaved that you feel sorry about. Perhaps you have noticed something about yourself in those situations that you regret. If that is the case, just take a moment now and maybe where you are, just say the word sorry. Bring those regrets to God. And we do so not to feel bad or to beat ourselves up about those things, but we do so knowing that God loves us and forgives those things, so we can come to Him with those regrets we have in that spirit. And as you have brought those things to God, just take a moment and reflect on God's goodness, how He loves you, how He knows you exactly the way you are, and where things have gone wrong or you have done things that you regret, that He forgives you for those things. And as we have reflected and looked back over these few days, we now shift our gaze and start to look forward. Take a moment and notice if there's anything that God has brought to your attention during this reflection that He wants you to kind of keep hold of going forward. Anything that He's asking you to take away from this moment. But also notice if there's anything you feel that He's calling you to kind of put to bed and leave behind at this point. And as we start coming to the end of this brief time of reflection, just take a moment and just notice God's presence with you. Notice His presence in your thinking and in your reflections. I wonder if there is anything that you want to tell Him as this reflection is drawing to a close. It's an amazing thing, isn't it, to just be able to have a chat with God about things in our mind. And that brings us to the end of our time together this evening. You might want to just remain in this space a bit longer. I find it useful to have a journal at hand and write down things that has occurred to me during times of reflections like these. Maybe that's something you'd like to do too. If anything has struck you that you want to keep hold of, if you felt that God has spoken to you about a situation or something to take away from this time. As this is the first one of these that we are doing, I really welcome your feedback as well. So please comment on this post afterwards if there's anything I need to bear in mind for future times of reflective prayer. The next time will be on Thursday, the same time at 5 o'clock. Similar format to this, again, just a really short time and just a bit of space in the week to breathe and reflect and go over events that's passed. So go well, everyone, and I'll see you soon.